What up, everybody? Political Soulful. We are back on a Tuesday night. Tonight is our Tuesday's Toxic Trump Report. That's the theme for Tuesdays from now on. I've been thinking about how to organize the show and the topics and to just let y'all know what to expect when we come out here to politic. Well, you know what it is. Tuesdays from now on. As long as we have to deal with him in the office, in the White House, in the horrible White House, we got Tuesday's Toxic Trump Report. Keep y'all updated on what's going on so that we know how to respond. We know how to vote. We know where to move our money. We know how to activate our political capital. All right, so we're going to give people a chance to chime in here. So get ready. Right after this break, we're going to chop it up on Trump's budget proposal, which is cray. Z. Not cray like something good or dope the way we use it. Cray. So we're going to get back here in a second and talk about what's so cray about Trump's policy. Let's get ready, y'all. All right, Tuesday's Toxic Trump Report. That's what is going on tonight. And we're going to talk about the proposed budget. The proposed budget, $4.75 trillion budget, which is not aiming to balance the budget as Trump promised. None of that. It is not trying to help the American people. No. And in many ways, it's not even helping Trump's own constituency, at least on the economic end. I want to say what's up to Dr. Aldermeyer, who just popped up here on IG. What's good? So what's going on here? Well, let's see what's happening, because there's a lot of mess happening. And this is going to be good for those folk who fronted on Obama when he was in office, especially talking about, oh, he's ruining our economy and the debt is rising on him and the economy is just really, really bad. It's the worst it's ever been. And black people were doing the worst under Obama because Obama, he was a traitor. You know, he was getting it from both the left and the right. And I want to talk about this budget here and give you some homework so that you could compare what Trump is cutting, what he is boosting, and compare that to what Obama cut and boosted during his presidency, during his first 4 years, to keep it balanced and fair comparison. We want to do that. So that'll be your homework for later. And knowing me, I might just want to do that for you. But for right now, I definitely want to look at this budget here. So what do we have here? And you can find the details of the budget in different platforms: New York Times, Washington Post. A lot of different tax and economic organizations are definitely analyzing this budget here. It's been broken down, and so the news is out. So let's look at this. All right, so it's a $4.75 trillion budget. On the surface, what we hear here is that it's increasing straight up military spending and it's slashing domestic programs. And I don't know if you remember, when Obama was around, he was boosting money for domestic programs and trying his best to slash military spending. So already we have the opposite going on here. So what is he cutting? He's cutting Medicaid. He's cutting Medicare. He wants to add money, about $8.6 billion for the wall, for that stupid wall. So we also hear that. All right. So the major problem, right, before I even get into more details, is that it is not even attempting to balance the budget. It would nowhere near balance the budget for at least 15 years. And it's not even really going to balance the budget 15 years because it's just a leak in the economic tire. And money is just being spent left and right. And what's bad, not even on the American people, on the things that matter that could eventually recycle, the kinds of things that can recycle back into the community, into our economy. So one thing off the back I want to mention is that, and as I go down and talk about some of these details, keep in mind I'm saying Trump, but it's not Trump. No. Trump is sort of like it's a good word, some of you English majors here, like a metonymy. I think that's a good word, right? So it's standings up. He's one individual, or the White House is one slice that represents a larger pie, right? So when I say Trump, I am talking about not just the Trump administration, but also the entire GOP's platform. And obviously there are some individuals who would disagree with Trump on certain matters, but pretty much this is their agenda. Such slashes, such boostings in certain areas. And so let's not forget that. This is, seriously, we just cannot forget that this is really our Republican platform right now. Another thing about this is that a lot of people, and I'm speaking to those on the left now, who were saying, Obama, he was a neoliberal and he's trying to, bolster the free market, and on the low, he's just helping capitalism at the expense of the working people, of the poor. Okay, let's look at Trump's proposed budget here. And then on one day, maybe on this show, I have another podcast for all Obama stuff. It's called All About Barack Obama on SoundCloud. And I probably talk about more exclusive Obama stuff on that platform. But I think I might have to transfer some of those details onto this site here just to make my point, so people don't think I'm just making claims and not able to back it up. So we have a neoliberal designed agenda. Dr. Cornel West was saying, neoliberalism has given way to fascism and strongman politics. No. It's right here in full force. And we can see it as Trump slashes the budget for social programs, as Trump removes Obama's regulations on environment, environmental protections and all that stuff, and financial protections, economic protections for the working class and stuff like that. So, okay, so let's get started. So we already know, like I said before, Trump wants to slash Medicare and Medicaid. He's trying to slash around $818 billion from Medicare spending over the next 10 years, and cutting about $1.5 trillion on Medicaid. Yes. Meanwhile, his last tax plan is already hurting working class Americans who are in need of these services, and all at the same time giving amazing socialistic benefits to the 1%. Alrighty. So he's cutting food stamps. I think I see here about $327 billion over the next decade. And what else is going on here? I'm just saying cuts. It's just dizzying here to say. So just to think about it. So Medicare and Medicaid, they're just going to get sliced and diced. Just think of them as a vegetables in the kitchen on a tray, all in queue of getting sliced and diced by an amazing Japanese chef who's going to make some delicious food, some sushi, some vegetable stuff, maybe some udon. So he's just going to be chopping up, chop. That's what Trump is doing. He's just chopping up program after program. But the two major ones, that I want to stress to you is Medicaid and Medicare. And it sends a message about how he feels, how the GOP feels about Americans who are on it. That basically the service should not be used as much as it is, if at all. And it should be a priority for us to get rid of that service. So the taxpayer dollars that are going back into that service should be redirected to other places, like the military spending. Okay? He's also proposed spending $26 billion on Social Security programs. Okay? And I'm sorry. Let me say that back. He's proposing to spend $26 billion less on Social Security, and also cutting the Social Security disability insurance program by $10 billion. This is crazy. I can't even want to read these numbers correctly, because what we have to do, if we could just try to feel how this translates into the elderly's lives, to people who have disabilities. Think about what that means. See, I wasn't born in the middle class and upper class, so I know what this means. I know how this can impact my loved ones and family and friends and other people who lived in the neighborhoods that I grew up in and still presently in. I know what this could do to people. This is not a laughing matter at all. This is not a laughing matter at all. So he's basically cutting all these very fundamental social programs, fundamental to people's health, directly connected to people's health. It's a matter of life and death to people everyday well-being, especially those who retire expecting to have funds for themselves and their loved ones. It's cutting all that stuff. And it doesn't stop there. It's cutting funding to the Environmental Protection Agency, and that's getting hit extremely hard. So in other words, we're doing away with any responsibility to curb climate change. Why? Well, that aids in the bet other industries, like the coal industry, which is really, let's just call it an endangered species. It's just going out of business. Not only because people hate it and it's unhealthy to human beings and to the planet, but there's just better alternatives. It's not like people are really player hating on coal. It's just like we got other technology that works better and is more efficient in terms of how much we could use it for less. It too is just like healthy, you know what I mean? Come on, it's crazy. So he's cutting that by 31%. He's cutting the Environmental Protection Agency by 31%. He's also cutting renewable energy research. Now, this is dangerous, I would think, by 70%. This kind of research is what helps our civilization to face the challenges that we come across as a group of people. Okay, understanding that certain forms of energy are expiring and are downright just destroying human life and animal life, planet itself. Why would you cut 70% of the research that goes into that? That's crazy. Who would do that? Who would want to do that? That's ridiculous. and then want to put all that money into a wall. I mean, we'll suffocate having that wall up and all of these decreases in the EPA. All right. He's also cutting by 11% funding for the Energy Department. And that is part of the Office of Energy Efficient Renewable Energy, which, let me read here, provides hundreds of millions of dollars in grants each year for research into electric vehicles, battery storage, and building efficiency. This is where we're going. We're going towards solar panels. We're going towards electric cars and all that stuff. Why? This is going backwards. Well, it makes sense. I mean, making America great again means, obviously, if we really accept all that could be meant in that phrase, going backwards, not moving forward in any way you can think of it, going backwards. Not just, evidently, not just from a demographic point of view or political point of view, also from a literal technological point of view, I guess. Crazy. So there are cuts to climate change projects. So there was a budget for voluntary climate change partnerships. One example is the Atmospheric Protection Program. There was a budget for organizations and institutions that said, listen, we will volunteer to do this work. They're going to cut that funding as well. This is horrible. Give a shout out to Dr. Marshall's in the house. And so moving away from Medicaid, Medicare, moving away from the EPA and climate change research and all that stuff, let's get to education. He's cutting education as well, at least by 10%. They're cutting programs. Let me read here just from this report. The budget seeks to cut more than 24 programs, including popular after-school programs for many low-income students. It will eliminate higher education programs like the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program and subsidized federal Stafford loans, and reduce work-study funding as officials tweak the program to offer more career-oriented jobs for low income. So first of all, two of these matters, if not all, really, are connected to me. Being someone who grew up in a low-income family, I understand the power of after-school programs, the power to provide opportunities for kids who have talent but no way out, to provide a location for students to go to and be in a safe environment and be kids, be teenagers. So that is harmful. I mean, you're talking about human capital. You're talking about sabotaging human capital. I mean, this nation, well, democracy is really as good as its citizens, right? But I mean, clearly this is a step towards an oligarchic society, which, I mean, we are kind of in that economically, but it's just going to get even worse. So, and then the loans, graduate loan, having graduate loan, forgiveness is important. At least something. Having loans, period, is important. As a grad student myself, wrapping up a dissertation, having earned 3 masters, I understand the importance of these things, right, and how they impact our lives positively. To have the opportunity to learn and grow and bring back this information to our community. I mean, to remove this is to remove opportunity, and also to redirect people from higher learning. But obviously, the more educated Americans are, the more they turn away from, I'm sorry to say, conservatism in the Republican Party. Because people don't got time for that BS, and they'll just simply reject it. First it could be culturally conservative, but the minute they start listing facts about certain details or showing that scientific data is real data, particularly when it comes to climate change, they're sort of banned. They're kicked out, ostracized into the land of liberalness. Where I'm at, you'll be keeping me company. So Dr. Aldamai says, in getting rid of after-school funding, it allows for parents to work full-time. Yes, after school is very important for that, right? And just you can explore what that does, right? Just allowing for people to earn a living to take care of their kids. Not only just having kids learn, being able to get more out of the day after school is closed. All right, so there's supposed to be let's just talk about some so-called good stuff. But the so-called good stuff does not outweigh the bad stuff. And the good stuff is really just, a lot of it is just Obama stuff as I looked at it. So there's supposed to be $700 million going to school safety initiatives. Okay, fine. That's just like obvious. And some money is going into counseling, behavioral health programs. But, that this money and this, you're talking about peanuts, right? $700 million for school safety and $200 million for other programs like financing emergency operation plans, counseling, behavioral health programs. Reading from this. All right, bro. Just see. So it's ridiculous. But all right, here's what's interesting: $200 billion is going into. So we're going to move away from that and go to healthcare. Healthcare, there's a 10% increase in healthcare spending for veterans. Now, this may look like a good thing, but they actually fooled around with the veterans budget. Obama, fact check this for me, Obama fully funded the VA office. He met that campaign promise. And it's crazy that veterans just ignore that. But obviously they have another agenda on. But they totally ignored all that and voted for Trump. And Trump started, messing around with that funding. And now, he's touting, I'm going to do a 10% increase for veterans funding and try to provide new voucher programs for education. Yeah, okay. But if you'd have kept your hands out of that, you and your goons, and kept the veterans office fully funded, we wouldn't have to do that. So you don't get no point for that. No. All right. So, this is bad. I just hope all of you, I'm probably preaching to the choir, if I am preaching. I think many of you get this, but it's something to talk about, and I just want to send it out here on the airwaves. And, this is horrible. Someone said this budget is a recipe for American decline. It really is. It really is. But that's the price many Americans are willing to pay if they can make America white again. Just to be frank about it. So Democrats obviously are standing up to this. Some Republicans, they're quiet on this. They're cool with it, but they don't want the bad press. So many of them are quiet, or they're just like giving Trump a little tap in the hand, saying, it's not really resolving our budget issues. And let me just say this at the end. Moving forward, let's not fall for the double standards that Republicans put up here. They came down hard on Obama and his spending and all that stuff. But here it is. We see them ignoring the deficit. Obama by 2015 had cut the deficit by 2/3. The debt was increasing, but this was a systemic trend happening over decades and decades and decades over different presidents. And we needed to structurally renovate our economic priorities, which Obama was trying to do. But in the clues of this attempt are in the decline in the deficit. By cutting the deficit by 2/3 shows that he was onto something. He was actually very fiscally responsible, way more than these Republicans who like to tout balanced budget before anything else. Hypocrites. Obama was an amazing president for that. He tried to play this game by the rules. He says, yes, we need to be fiscally responsible, but also we need to make sure Americans who are in need, most in need, get the kinds of programs and services that Americans deserve in order to make America a great nation, because a great democratic nation is only as good as its citizens are. Physically, mentally, emotionally, financially, politically, the whole 9 yards. So that's that for tonight. This was your Tuesday Toxic Trump Report, which I'll continue to do every Tuesday now here on Political Soul Food. So there's going to be a theme for each day of the week. If you have some things you want to propose, shoot them out before I get to the next day of the week, because I'm just starting this week, starting today. Alrighty. So thanks again for tuning in. If you haven't already, checked out Patreon, patreon.com/Kassan Henry, as it is spelled on these platforms here, and support this initiative if you'd like to do so in that manner. Another way, which is non-negotiable, is to use your compassion, use your influence, use your education, use your love, use your talents to help make this society a better place to be, to help someone get in school, to help someone make a better decision, child, teenager, or adult. Okay? Make it happen. That's how you can ultimately support this platform. Thanks again for chiming in on Political Soul Food. Over and out. See y'all tomorrow. Be here. I hope so. Alright, IG, thanks a lot for tuning in. Peace out. And Facebook, I know you're there. Thanks again. See you tomorrow.